Ellen DeGeneres has spent years putting celebrities on the spot with insensitive questions, forced laughs, and a smile so permanent it started to look fake. The problem with making other people the punchline for a living is that eventually, a better person always punches back. Over the years, Ellen's learned this the hard way, as her own stage became the place where her tactics backfired the loudest. So without further ado, here are 9 comedians who humiliated Ellen on her own show. Numbers 3 and 7 and highlights she would never forget. 9. Kathy Griffin. How much do you have to dislike someone to write part of an entire book about them? Kathy Griffin looked at that question and gladly accepted the challenge. 2016 was the year Ellen's reputation was dragged through the mud by Kathy Griffin, a comedian who regularly took shots at celebrities for a living. But this is where it gets interesting. Both comedians apparently had beef for almost a decade at that point, going all the way back to 2007, when Ellen described Kathy as someone difficult to work with. Kathy publicly called her a coward for not choosing to talk about it privately, stating that the last time they tried to talk it out, one of them responded too angrily when nothing offensive was said. In her book, Griffin described one time at the Emmy Awards when Ellen DeGeneres allegedly confronted Kathy. They had a fight, and Ellen had her removed from a dressing room. But while writing an entire book about someone you dislike is wild, our next celebrity takes it to another level. 8. Sean Hayes. As a famous comedian, what happens when you repeatedly invite someone to roast on your show and they always show up better prepared than you are? That's exactly what happens on almost every episode featuring comic genius Sean Hayes. And what was Ellen's big mistake? Forgetting that you don't bring average punchlines to a gunfight with a man who invented punchlines. Unlike most other comedic guests, Sean is never the type to wait for jokes to land. He is rather the type to redirect and throw them right back at your face. That was the moment things went sideways. The moment Ellen tried making the episode about the things she was better at doing and features found annoying about him, Sean responded with the comedic equivalent of a shrug. He simply didn't care. At one point in the middle of her joke, he was fully absorbed admiring his cup of tea. And honestly, the tea had better material. But that wasn't all. When she complimented his looks and talent, seemingly begging for mutual admiration, he responded by quickly waving his ring at her. It was cold and direct, so much so that the audience went wild. And just like that, within minutes, Sean Hayes had quietly stolen the entire show without even raising his voice. When Ellen found herself reacting instead of interviewing, Sean calmly pointed out that she was terrible at segues in interviewing people. The audience lost it at that point. She attempted one last comeback joke, and it seemed the audience was trying their best to laugh. She tried to roast him, but ended up burned. This, however, came off as way too considerate and merciful compared to the next person on our list. 7. Dakota Johnson. Dakota Johnson is the kind of person who easily keeps eye contact in awkward situations, speaks slowly, and tells you exactly what she thinks. This is a wonderful quality to have in a friend or a relatable character in a movie. But, as we shall see, maybe not so much as a comedy talk show guest. Ellen, unfortunately, found out live on camera in the most painful way. Unlike the previous cases we've talked about, this one started with a simple question. Ellen asked about Dakota's 30th birthday party, casually adding she hadn't been invited, unfortunately. This was an attempt at fishing for a laugh to keep things moving, but not to Dakota. With live cameras rolling, she plainly told Ellen she was not telling the truth. Yeah, calling this awkward was an understatement. The audience had gone silent. Once Ellen denied it, Dakota told her to ask the producer. And like things couldn't get any worse, right there, the producer confirmed it on screen, in real time. Everything flipped from that moment. Every attempt Ellen made to save face got quietly dismantled by her guest. When Ellen claimed she'd never refuse an invitation, Dakota simply asked why she hadn't come. The episode became less a comedy show and more a gentle destruction by a guest who just wanted to point out a single fact. But here is the kicker. Dakota, sitting on Ellen's stage, on Ellen's show, looked her in the eye and said her favorite comedian was Tig Notaro. Not Ellen, Tig Notaro, right there on Ellen's show. The audience laughed, and let's say Ellen struggled to take it very well. Strangely enough, that seemed to be the only line that got a genuine laugh from the deadpan Dakota. Our next comedian, however, took a very different approach. 6. Dawn Luttrell. What happens when a budget version of someone's entire career makes people laugh harder than the original? Well, ask Dawn Luttrell, a comedic Ellen DeGeneres lookalike who got publicly critiqued by the very person she spent years impersonating and looking up to. Meanwhile, that person's audience found the tribute footage more entertaining than any of Ellen's recent episodes, so much so that it became a meme at some point. Knowing this, it seemed Ellen DeGeneres couldn't help seeing Dawn Luttrell starting to get more famous, making impressions of her. So like any mature person in the business would do, Ellen pulled up one of Luttrell's audition tapes on an episode without permission and gave it a very harsh review on live television. What was her funny critique? She claimed the Ellen impression was poor and outdated. Yes, that's all she could say about it. But here comes the interesting part. Luttrell was not invited to clap back or defend herself. This move was either very brave or very telling, depending on who you ask. Luttrell later said the segment left her heartbroken and sent her to therapy. The big irony? That impression clip went on to receive more engagement than Ellen's next episode, meaning the one thing Ellen publicly dismissed as poor ended up drawing a bigger crowd than she ever did. Things got so bad that the episode got removed and never mentioned again. Ellen said the impression was outdated. The irony, however, stays fresh. Just ask the next person on our list. 5. Brad Garrett. Speaking of irony, a few years ago when Ellen had ended her long-running show, after 19 seasons, with a simple encouragement to be kind, BuzzFeed broke the story that turned that mantra in its head. While Ellen went back to stand-up comedy, she tried to sell the image of someone being hated by everyone for simply being mean. In fact, Ellen's producer and many of those who once worked for the host described her as being a toxic micromanager, barking orders at everyone to make impossible things happen. The gap between the brand of being kind to others and reality felt so wide, an entire new season could have been filmed about it. As always, Ellen dismissed all the claims, only to get publicly humiliated by famous Hollywood insider and comedian Brad Garrett. In the viral tweet, Brad said that he's been on the show and knows multiple people she treated horribly. He also stated that it's common knowledge to know she was not good at treating others with basic respect. It got a lot worse when the actress Leah Thompson publicly confirmed it as true. It didn't stop there, though. Not long afterwards, Warner Media started an investigation that ended with Ellen giving an apology to her staff. And just like that, one tweet was all it took to expose the Queen of Kindness as something much darker. And though not everyone saw her this way, that didn't stop this next person from publicly humiliating her as well. 4. Wendy Williams. Ellen's personality has been described by critics as being so unlikable that even those who allegedly care about her can't help throwing insults in ways that cross the line. Enter Wendy Williams, the person famous for saying what everyone thinks quietly. Wendy had never had a feud with Ellen, not until she says something that slaps just as hard as an insult. During Heads Up, a game by Ellen, the prompt to be guessed by Justin Bieber. When giving a clue on who he was without telling her the name, the hint was, "Some people say she looked like you." What came next was a nervous laugh from the audience. Reading the room, Wendy added that it was in a good way. Ellen awkwardly laughed it off, trying to ignore the fact that she was just compared by her guest to a teenage boy in her own show, and called it a compliment. For all the scandals Justin was known for back then, many believed he had never been more useful at that moment in making Ellen look bad on TV. The same problem gets a lot worse with our next guest. 3. Ricky Gervais. As a famous talk show host, you know you've made a catastrophic mistake when your latest guest turns your entire audience against you, and worse yet, makes it look sweet and effortless. Poor Ellen learned this the hard way when she invited Ricky Gervais onto her show. This was the same man who once stood at the Golden Globes and roasted Hollywood's most powerful people to their faces and enjoyed every second of it. Of all the guests in all the world she could pick to roast, she picked this guy. So what could possibly go wrong? As expected at the start of every episode, Ellen came in swinging, ready to put him on the spot. What she didn't know was that Ricky Gervais doesn't blend well with spots. Without effort, Ricky flattened every joke she threw, and the next few laughs came at her instead of her guest. Now that is a very different kind of laugh show. To save face, she tried teasing him about his habit of drinking before performing. He replied with a smile, completely unbothered, saying that it simply helps him say exactly what he wants to say. With that response alone, he easily exposed how shallow her approach was. By the end, Ricky walked away looking unshakable, leaving a loud applause behind, while Ellen came off as the one who got roasted on her own show. Again, Jimmy Fallon tried the exact same move not long after and got roasted in the same way. Some people never learn, and this was easily exposed by our next guest. 2. Hasan Minhaj. It was April 2019, and you would think that a seasoned talk show host would know the right type of guest to make fun of and when to do so. But no, not with Ellen, it seems. And the guest that proved this was Hasan Minhaj. Not every comedian easily takes things to the chin and clap back when their last name gets insulted in front of their parents. With Hasan's both parents present, Ellen opened with a smile and butchered his name immediately, calling him Hasan Minhaj. Instead of laughing, he looked at the audience and back at Ellen before bluntly correcting her. Then she played the ignorance card before Hasan pointed out, "If you can pronounce Ansel Elgort, you can pronounce Hasan Minhaj." She faked trying and failing to pronounce it correctly 3 times before saying the correct thing. Many saw her joke as highly insensitive, especially when knowing the parents of the guest were in the same room. But now Ellen had publicly mispronounced his name once, and he made sure she never would again. But this wasn't the first time she tried playing kind and ignorant. 1. Kevin Hart. In January 2019, not long after getting the grand opportunity to host the biggest event in his career, Kevin Hart stepped down from hosting the Oscars after his old controversial tweets resurfaced. He wasn't kicked out, but rather made his decision to step down and avoid further issues. And that was it. Case closed and no hard feeling. But that was until Ellen got involved. Under the promise of promoting his latest business, Ellen invited him onto her show. The promotion only lasted a few minutes before Ellen dived right into her real reason for inviting him to the show. While her audience cringing with awkward silences here and there, Ellen spent most of the episode trying to reverse the decision Kevin had already made about the Oscar situation. Without being asked, she said she had called the Academy on his behalf and the higher-ups would be thrilled to have him back. But with a calm demeanor, he made his decision clear. At least, that's what it looked like on screen. Viewers off-screen, this came off as manipulative and disingenuous, and her ratings continued to plummet. There you have it, the 9 comedians and celebrities who humiliated Ellen DeGeneres. Which of these moments are you most fond of? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more of the good stuff. We'll see you in the next one.